lights they flicker and the candles glitter like you're in a thriller. Heart goes pound, pound, pound. Ghostly figures, they can get so bitter. Sure you want to enter, you can turn back now. You don't know where I've been. What's going on inside? Where the monsters like to come alive, come alive. Do you really wanna know me? I'm really not that cozy. It's up to you, so you decide, you decide. Would you love me at my worst till the coffin's in the dirt? Try to break me like a curse, you know that will never work. I'm a little bit absurd, I like dancing on the verge. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion, but could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're too scared, get out. A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. Broken windows and a warning scribbled on my wall saying that you better turn around. Wouldn't be the first to try to burn me down. Your move, you too. Would you love me at my worst till the coffin's in the dirt? Try to break me like a curse, you know that will never work. I'm a little bit absurd, I like dancing on the verge. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion, but could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're too scared, get out. A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. Could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're just taking side. A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. Words till the coffin's in the dirt. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion.
Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together.
Welcome in, gatekeepers. Happy Halloween. In case you didn't realize it, we're that close. It's never too early up in here. Look, we're crazy. Before everybody gets on the bandwagon and jumps in the comments, starts yelling at me, it's too early. But let me tell you something. It's not long enough. Halloween should have a month at least. And I am so used to, what was 10, 11 years working for AC Moore, being the craftologist. Yes, that's what my title was, at least when I left there. When I started, it was customer service manager. So being the craftologist, if you don't know what that is, it's just a fancy name for somebody who glues stuff together and puts glitter on it. So what I would do is, like, on a typical week, I'd go in there on a Monday, whatever. And in the morning, and there'd be a big box in my studio, my room, where I also had birthday parties for kids. I was in charge of, like, creating the craft and, handling the kids and teach them how to do it and all that kind of stuff. That was, like, fun. We had a blast. I had pirate parties and all kind of stuff. We just had a blast. I made them a lot of money. So anyway, you get a box and there would be all the new supplies in it, the new stuff that they were going to get, and they were going to feature in about 2 weeks. They were going to start getting stock on it. So we might have, say, if it was going to be summer, you'd start getting all your wood shapes that had something to do with summer, your flip-flops and your umbrellas and your frogs and ducks. You just, think preschool to adult and artists, okay? So you always had to keep that spectrum in mind. There's a reason I'm telling you this. So you would get this box and they would say, okay, you have 3 days to come up with 3 different things for that focus group. Okay, so if you're doing it for young kids, something easy they can do, something middle of the road, middle age, and then for something for people like a challenge, okay, with one product. And it might be, you have wood and then you're featuring a new paint or a new wood stain or a new superfine glitter or some other kind of mess. And you're just looking at all this stuff in the room and you're going, what am I going to do with all this? And you've got 3 days to come up with what we called inspiration. And this is like before Pinterest and everything else really kicked in. And then you would take and you put it out on the floor by that product. So you might have, like, the new wood shapes or whatever it might be over in the new paint you did too, but you might have some new paint samples over in the new, so that's how it works. And the reason I'm telling you that is because on July 4th, the week of, right before the weekend or whenever the holiday was, I was already hanging Christmas ornaments on displays. I was putting out stuff for every craft and Christmas you could imagine, from making Christmas ornaments to wreaths to Christmas ribbon to the new glitter to the new whatever ink pens or ink stains or things like that was. So for 10 years, I got holiday whiplash. So if I feel like the air is changing and the leaves are about to start to get a little yellow and a little orange and maybe some red, it's time to put the pumpkins out, people. You got to stay ahead of the holiday train because we love spooky here. So trust me, it's not too early to say happy Halloween, because I feel like if I don't start now, I'm going to miss it. There's so much we're going to do, so much during spooky season. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. And that's just like a little trip down memory lane to explain how I think the world has gotten. It's so strange because my mom was also a floral designer. She was also an artist and showed that in many ways, from hand drawing ads in the paper back in the 60s and early 70s to, floral design, just like myself. But anyway, we don't really get to spend that much time. We're helping everybody else get ready for their holidays. We don't get a lot of time to spend. And when you do a podcast that's, at least delves into the supernatural and paranormal, I mean, you're planning like 2 months early, again, just like crafting. So welcome in. It's spooky night tonight. I see Henry and Kat, the wonderful Kat. Thank you for all your help, sweetie. What a, Black Ops mod she is. She has really picked up the reins and helped us, and she's always out there sharing it. And when I go into my analytics and I see that somebody came from, a different website or something like that, I know it's one of you guys that's doing it. So I thank you very much. And Kat, I don't thank you enough, and I appreciate you, sweetheart. Thank you so much. You're always there, and you're always like, you're all in, and I appreciate that. Sarah, wonderful to see you. Uncommon Belief, great to see you. Vixen Doe, I love you, love you. How you doing? D-Rock, I saw you come in on the tail end. You just grabbed the tip of that tiger's tail last night, didn't you? But I caught you, and I couldn't go in behind and let you know that I saw you, but I did. So thanks for popping in last night. I appreciate that. Who else do we have here? I'm going to get Steve in here. Okay, I think I said hi to everybody. Okay, so thank you, mods, again, for all you do. Ghost Dancer Radio, welcome in, welcome in. Please welcome, as per usual, welcome all the new people in. Let them know I'm a complete nutter and expect everything and nothing at the same time, and we'll have a good time. So I think I have a surprise for you at the end of the night. If for all my late nighters, if you want to hang with me, we might have a little bit of a Labor Day surprise, and if not, you can catch it tomorrow. But we'll see how tonight goes, because today has been absolutely off the hizzy, as the kids say. Do the cool kids still say that? I'm not sure. Either way, we'll ask this one, because he is definitely a cool kid on the block. He is soon to be a papa, if not in the next 5 minutes, the next 5 days, the next 5 hours. We're not sure. So let's get him in here while we still got him. My friend, Mr. Steve Stockton.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Going to be a boy dad real soon.
Boy dad.
1
I'm a
week
boy
from
mom.
today.
I'm a boy
if
mom.
he goes the full 40 weeks. So
you can bounce him more.
It could happen at just any time.
You can bounce him around more.
Yeah, we're in a holding pattern. Yeah, I'm going to bring him on the show as soon as he
Yep,
gets here.
I know. I can't wait. He's got an outfit for every day. Halloween, 31 days of Halloween. He's already ready. He's already a Stockton, ladies and gentlemen. Did you have any doubt? It's so funny. I thought it was so cute when you said that you had stuff around that might scare him, but you loved it. And I'm thinking, no, because he's going to grow up around it. He's going to
grow
think
up
it's awesome.
around it, and it won't scare. We got a little crab that crawls around and if it hits something that goes back and forth. No, it doesn't pinch, but it
should pinch.
Somebody on I think Instagram had posted they bought it for their baby, and the kid's terrified of it. So we'll see. But other than that, and that came
you
from
never know.
The brothers at Belief Hole got him that. They got him some bathtub toys too.
Isn't that nice?
Hey, everybody, Sarah Claire.
I mean, look at who we are. Look at who we are. There's anyway. I'm surprised you didn't get a ghost in a jar and all kind of stuff. And
what in a jar?
A ghost in a jar.
A ghost in a jar.
All kind of
I've got a story about a fart in a jar, but
I know you do.
I have to teach him that one when he gets a little bigger. Sarah Claire.
Except now you're going to be the target.
Bunnies on Facebook Messenger. Vixen know how you doing.
Teeth are overrated, Sarah. We have the best chat. We have the best chat in the world. I want you to take a look. Froze Moment has changed his picture, and he's just torturing me with it.
It's going to eat a cat graze in here a couple of times.
Here it is. Here, look at the eyes on this fella. That's Major Andre. That is Major Andre of the Turn series. And I cannot tell you the things that people do. It tickled me so much when I saw he had changed his picture for the Liberty. For our summer event for Liberty. We had a ball last night. Lynn Monet and the crowd, everybody was here. We had a blast. Just looking at people, Steve, and that's what we really do. People watch, dead or alive.
And I used to do that, but I got in trouble because people.
Well, you were doing it through a peephole in
people
a
should
wall
leave their windows open if they don't want you looking in. No, I'm kidding. I've never.
We're kidding.
Never.
That's just so creepy. That's just such a creepy thing, isn't it? Peeking in windows or.
Grew up there.
I haven't had that. I've got to say I've never had that, but I've had
a peeping Tom.
Have you ever had that one where you were in a building and you looked across and you didn't realize somebody was across, like a city, watching. You're up and they're looking right at
Fraser, they've got a telescope and you're looking across and then there's somebody in a building on the other side of the block or 2 or 3 blocks over. They've got a telescope and they're watching you. It goes on in the cities.
Well, that's why people in the country put bear traps under their windows, don't they? I'm gonna turn this light down a bit. I don't know. Is that just an ugly rumor? I don't see why not. Tell you the truth, it's getting to that point where you might want to throw a few bear traps.
StreamYard has a dark mode now. It might not be available to the one you've got.
Stop it!
Several years of begging and complaining. I can't see it from here, but you go to settings and then general.
Oh, you're joking! No way! Right here live? No, where would I be looking? I got my mirror. I've got settings,
general. Click on general.
Landscape portrait.
Should be down at the very bottom.
Nope, I don't have it yet.
It may be the version that you're using, but they made it available last weekend. So
son of a gun. I'd love to see it. Maybe I have to update my system or something.
Well, see, that's why I look so whited out here. Is all that white?
I don't have the I don't have the Mercedes model of this this car I'm driving here, though, so I'm not sure.
This is how it looks like, and I don't look all washed
bear traps. It's true, right? Henry, am I telling the truth? Or, I mean, come on now. That's why we don't rake our leaves either. Traps. People used to get all mad, and I said, why would I rake my leaves?
Those. My dad had steel traps hanging up outside on a little barn that he had, but he had some bear traps. I mean, ones that would take 2 men to set, and they had the big sharp teeth in there. You didn't want to get caught in a bear trap.
Yep, they had one out there at Harry's. I swear that wasn't it was more like a dinosaur trap. This thing was so big. I mean, when you saw it, Steve, you just wouldn't believe it. Took up all right, I'll give you an idea how big it was. You know, when you walk in most old, strip malls. So like imagine you're walking into like say the main store, like a Target or something. You know how the sidewalk would be in squares. Now it's not so much, but when we were kids, it would be.
Yeah.
And there'd be like 2 great big squares, at least 2 to 3, right in front of the main door. That bear trap that we saw would have took up that entire area, like 2 double doors and that whole sidewalk. That's how big it was. Yeah. It talk about 2 men. It would have took 4 men on both sides to pull that sucker down. I don't know what it was for. It was some kind of promotion back in the day. Yeah, it was some kind of promotion back in the day.
Of savings.
Got handed down. I mean, it would have trapped a Volkswagen Bug. I mean, it was huge. And of course, it hadn't been oiled, and it was extremely old. I'm sure it was somebody's idea of a great promotional item back in the day. Remember when back in
the big things, everything,
a
big chair. Hammer. There was a place in which had a big rocking chair. You could get up in it and get your picture made. And
we got one of those out here. It's
the biggest ball of twine. Yeah. That's still
biggest frying pan, cast iron skillet. Yeah. Biggest rubber band ball, isn't there? Biggest rubber band. We ought to pull those up, Steve. We ought to look at. Maybe I ought to ask my. Has anybody named their AI yet? That's weird, isn't it? I got mad. Kept saying Copilot all the time. I'll tell you what. If you want to look up and say, hey, look up and see if there's ever been any hauntings in in such and such a place in, whatever state or whatever. And by gosh, if they won't pull it up and tell you about it, I think that's like amazing. And then you can dig more and, but
it's a funny story about that. There was an elderly lady that we know that asked us the other day, oh, what is A1? I said, well, it's a steak sauce, I reckon. And she said, well, they're doing something. They've copied Tom Hanks, and he's doing promotions for him without his permission or something. But it was
because AI. Because he used his voice. They used his voice.
It was AI, but she thought it was A1. So
A1. Hey, you know what, Steve? I've got a I promise, guys, we'll get to the ghosts here in a minute, but Steve and I need to visit a minute. We hadn't seen each other all week. It's been a big week, hasn't it, Steve? Yeah. Hang on one second. I'm also trying to look this up at the same time. And I'm doing my famous one finger.
Guy with a radio show years and years ago. He was talking about owl. He said, boy, the owl is really making leaps and bounds.
The owl.
But it was AI, but he thought it was AL. So
that's funny. For a second, I thought you were talking about that Married with Children guy.
Yeah, well, maybe.
All right. Well, here's one for you.
So between the steak sauce
Stephen,
and Al Bundy, they're getting people's likenesses and doing things they
th-
shouldn't.
this is, oh my goodness. All right. So the one I just
A1 is a
found
good steak sauce. I got a bottle in
is,
the refrigerator. Heinz 57 is my favorite, though.
I'm being real careful about what I push here.
Uh-uh.
I wish other people pushing buttons right now would be that careful. Because there's definitely some drunk monkeys on some levers over somewhere. All right, is that it? Nope, that's not it. There she blows.
Your mileage may vary.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. All right, now the one I was telling you about isn't quite that large.
Yeah.
It's about half that size.
So that one, just remember to duck when you go in there and you'll be
What
okay.
what are you hunting for? I mean, that thing is so big. What are you using for? Is he the bait?
Maybe he is. So there you go. We're going to catch a dog man or a giant or something.
Oh my goodness, Steve. Look
Yeah,
at the
you'd have
size
to
of
have
that
a half
sucker.
dozen men to stand on each of those springs, and then
Yeah. The
4 or
one,
5 big, strong men to pull those down and lock them into place.
yeah, the one I saw, like I said, wasn't as big. Here's another. Man, that looks like it means business
It
as
looks
well.
like it caught a snowmobile.
It does. Maybe do you think that's what they were after? That's incredible. I don't know, but this one, I mean, it was huge, but it was about the. No, it was bigger than this one, but this is close. This is close. And there's another. Now, what in tarnation are they hunting for?
I think they're looking for Bigfoot or Dogman or something with that one.
Most powerful traps in the world. Can you see what I'm seeing? It says large bear traps. I don't know if you can see that or not. No. Okay.
I guess you could catch
that
a
one's
polar
pretty
bear
big.
or a big grizzly or something like that. It might take a trap that big.
Oh, that's just they're out of their damn minds.
One thing you pulled up there, it went away, but in the first screen there was a toy bear trap. I like
toys. Well, there you go. Little man doesn't have one of those. That'll keep you hopping around the house, won't it?
Daddy, can you set my bear trap?
Oh gosh, that's funny. Yeah. I mean, look, they do it anyway. Having a kid, especially between the ages of 1, well, no, let's move that on up. Let's say about between the ages of 2 and 5. Those are your limber years. Those are the years you're going to have to be careful walking down the hallway, because if you step on a Lego at 3:00 in the morning, I'm here to tell you,
barefoot,
you wish it was a bear trap.
That's a foot wrecker. Yeah.
And I've done it more than once. I've done it at 2:00 in the morning, fully barefooted, full throttle boogie, going down the stairs, running for something, stepped on a Lego, and halfway down, and had to finish the rest of the stairs onto my mission on 1 foot.
1 foot, hop, 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 hop.
Yep. Got the Lego out a little while later. Man, I'll tell you what. Yeah, Kodiak, I don't know. It didn't say T-Rex trap. I don't know. I don't know. It's way too big for any
Legos,
of that.
I found a Lego in a loaf of bread one time.
You did what? Now, there's a story I want to hear.
When I was a kid, we'd gone over to, it was in Middle Tennessee, over around Fentress County. It was either these Banner Springs in that area. There's a big Amish community over there. And we'd gone over there to buy some fresh bread. And we pulled up to the place. My dad knew where to go, and they just went and knocked on the door, and they let you in and walked you back to the kitchen.
Mafia bread.
And then there was
speakeasy bread.
They had a big wooden table there and had loaves of bread cooling. You could just pick out the ones you wanted. Screen door out the back, pigs and chickens and stuff were just right outside there. Well, we picked out a loaf of bread. The lady bagged it up, and we took it home. My mom decided to heat it in the oven just in case to kill anything, because the flies and the pigs and the chickens and everything were right there. Well, when she took it out, it was nice and hot and steamy. She started cutting it up into slices for us to eat. There was a Lego block stuck in the bottom of it, and there was kids running around there. So there ain't no telling what we ate back then.
Wow, boy, that's something.
But it
that
was
reminds
good bread,
me of
and I lived to tell the tale. I love the Amish.
Yeah. That sounded a little clandestine there, though. Did you have to have a secret code word when you knocked on the door? It's like, I don't know. That's it.
I have money,
wild.
I think was the code.
I have money was the code word. Yeah, that's funny. But you made me think about all the times, when they were first started putting stuff in food, And I mean, I guess they thought it was a good thing. As far back as you can remember, putting stuff in like cereal box,
Yeah, and it didn't even used to be in a
Cracker
little
Jack.
bag. It'd
I
just
know,
be
that's what
toy
I mean.
stuff down in the
Yeah,
grain there.
yeah. Like I said, like when
I've
Cracker
been
Jack
up
first
as a
started, it
kid.
was
I've been
it was ships.
armpit deep in a box of Cheerios trying to dig out the toy
Armpit deep. I swear
because it was
that's funny.
always in the bottom of the box.
Yep. Gosh, I can remember exactly how it felt sticking your hand in a fresh box of
Yeah,
Captain Crunch,
kind of
trying to
take a
get down there.
twist. Yeah,
You could kind of roll right over those crunch berries, but man, those little pillows of corn puffed wheat or
that's
whatever,
okay.
they got you. They
Usually,
were
I
hard to
just
get
wanted a toy, and my dad ate the
feel
cereal. So there you go.
feel around. I know we've talked about the time where I think it was Super Sugar Crisp that had the or at least was General Mills. Wasn't that General Mills? That had the records on the back of the box and you had to
That might have
finish
been
it.
Post.
Gotcha.
A
'Cause
lot of them had that.
yeah.
Honeycombs used to have like the Jackson 5 records, and
Mm-hmm.
there was Archie. I had some Archie's records that were cut off the
Yep.
back
I
of the
had the
cereal
Archie.
box,
Yep.
and you had
Mine
to
curled up.
tape a penny or a nickel or something on it to keep so it would lay flat. But it actually worked, and those are probably high dollar collectible items now.
I have never seen any of those come through. I've seen some wild stuff, social media. You'll be looking and all of a sudden you'll see a set of those wax teeth you got at Halloween
Yeah,
or the little xylophone. Do you remember the little
yeah, the
whistle?
Wowee whistle.
Yep. That was so cool. And it had the picture on it. Like it
Yep.
was all the old witches and black cats and stuff. It was all the Halloween print, and it just seemed like the same one over and over again.
Yeah, I
It
bought a
matched the
box
bags.
of those one time and took them to school. There's like, I guess, a dozen of them in there. Took them to school and gave them out to my friends. And the teacher wanted to kill me. Can you imagine
Yeah.
12 kids wailing on those things in a
Those
classroom?
things. My gosh, I can't imagine. That's back when you could take stuff like that to school. As long as you brought enough for the whole class, you
Yeah,
could
I
pretty much
didn't,
bring
but
anything. I brought kittens to school once.
did you bring enough for everybody to have
Cupcakes.
one?
Yep. My mom hoped so. I came back with her saying one of
Another
them.
time I was eating, I think it's Fritos, chips, corn chips. And the teacher's like, Mr. Stockton, did you bring enough for everybody? And I'm like, here, who wants a bag?
Matter of
I'm
fact,
just going to pass the bag around.
yeah. Matter of fact, cupcakes and all that. I can remember making cookies, all that stuff, and just bringing it to school. Just bringing it to school. My mom being mad too.
Mom, like if you were in Cub Scouts or something like that, somebody's mom would bake a bunch of something and bring it in. We'd devour it.
Yeah. I can remember always waiting to last, forgetting. It's like 8:00 before Sunday night or some kind of stuff like that. 9:00, or I'm in bed already and just and you run out and you go that walk of shame down the hallway to wherever the TV sound is coming from.
Yeah.
I need 2 dozen cookies for tomorrow. I totally forgot.
Can we get them on the way to school? Why'd you wait till now to tell me?
And you know something? Back then, you didn't get them on the way to school. More like
stay up and make
Yep.
it. You might have to. Dad might have to run out and get the Pillsbury cookie dough in the tube and.
Yep. I know. Luckily I had one of those moms that could go in the kitchen, oh my gosh, cussing the whole time, slamming cabinet doors. But by God, she came up with 2 dozen cookies that I took to school the next day, and I'll never do it again. Never do it again. 3 weeks later, hey, Mom, guess what? We're supposed to bring
the wildest things I ever observed in school. It was in the 4th or 5th grade. They were combined. We had the same teacher for 4th and 5th grade, so it was one of those. They let us have a popcorn and Kool-Aid party, and you could either bring a bag of already popped corn to school, or you could bring a corn popper and pop your own corn. And about half the kids brought a corn popper into school. Can you imagine?
Wow.
And it was as wild as it sounds. There was popcorn everywhere. And several kids, I wasn't among them, but there were kids that ate enough popcorn and drank enough Kool-Aid that they physically made themselves ill. And there was spew going on.
Oh gosh, can you imagine?
Popcorn and Kool-Aid.
It's like that scene. Wait a minute, what movie is that?
It's Stand By Me, the lard-ass lard ass, whatever.
Yep.
And it was kind of like that. The first kid blew multicolored popcorn chunks, and then that set off a chain reaction. And that was right around
The good old
Halloween.
days. And in come the janitor with the sawdust and the, remember that sawdust mess
Yeah,
that
it
they
was
just
so
throw
bad
sawdust
that we
everywhere.
had to vacate the room and go outside because it didn't smell very pleasant.
God, good old school days. Well, at least that's a great segue into what we're talking about tonight. Haunted colleges. How about that?
Oh, we're talking about popcorn.
Well, popcorn too, popcorn, PJs, and ghosts. But I thought that was kind of funny. So I came along an old thing. It's what was it? Weird Travels. You remember the guy that used to be like the hitchhiker host? He was always going somewhere, had a backpack, and he'd be walking down the street, and you just have time to stop and tell you something about the next story that was coming up.
That
It was a
sounds
nice
vaguely
concept.
familiar, but I can't remember the
You'll
show,
see him.
the name of the show. So
You'll
we got
see
a
him.
video, I take it.
Yeah. And
Good.
I think it was early 90s. It might have been late 90s. I'm not sure. But as soon as he popped up, I said, man, that brings back memories. I can remember my kids were probably little and I was going in and out of the kitchen getting dinner ready. But this was a pretty good show. And they tried to make it like almost like that, mysteries at the museum and that kind of. In fact, it might be the same guy. I'm not really sure. But they tried to give it a different kind of take on ghost stories and haunted this and, like haunted England or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, as far as colleges, I think that it's almost like, I know this is going to sound weird, this analogy, because we don't have anything here in America like castles. Do you know what I mean? Like they do in UK and all of Scotland, these beautiful, even if they're in ruins, they're gorgeous. And there's so many that aren't, that have been refurbished and kept up. Colleges like that, to me, in the U.S. are almost like that.
They are
almost like castles.
Like that, especially some of your older colleges. They've got the bell towers and
yeah. I
stuff.
mean,
and a place that surprised me, I didn't know there were that many castles, is Denmark. I had Kyrie, she's in the chat. Sometimes she was on my radio show.
Hey, RP.
2 or 3 weeks ago talking about haunted Denmark. And I was surprised at the number of castles, and all of them haunted throughout Denmark and Scandinavia.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something
it's like
castle-like about some of those, especially the older colleges. The University of Tennessee, where I went to, I think it was Clement Hall or Ayers Hall, one of the ones up on the hill there in Knoxville, and it was haunted. I mean, there were stories about hauntings. Even when I went there was some guy that had imbibed too much and passed away of alcohol poisoning in the bathroom of the student center. That happened in the 80s when I was going to school there, and then there was all kinds of
was this a student, Steve? Do you know? Was this a student?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's, to me, that sounds like it would be the most profound, on any campus, because of, kids, their young minds are going through so much at that time. So a lot of them first time away from home, all that kind of, coming into, adulthood kind of thing and sorting through all that and having so much coming at you.
It's possible to even drink enough alcohol to kill you, but you entirely get it. Alcohol poisoning is a real thing. Yeah, absolutely.
It is. Absolutely. Because we had a couple die of that in Fort Dix. Basic training. Same thing. Kids.
ETSU, campus ETSU, and I think it's Johnson City, Tennessee. I've been up there before just looking around. It's supposedly haunted. They had a guy that danced from a rope there at the ROTC, the tower, that they rappel down. And one of the dorm areas is haunted, the female dorm. And then there's another place where there's a painting of I think it's one of the founders or something, that they had to lock it in a room because all kinds of weird things kept happening. So colleges are fraught with ghosts and ghost stories, I think, especially the older places. I think so too. And you talking about the alcohol poisoning thing, you're just thinking about, young people taking off from home around, probably for the most part the first time, but really any military basic training is like that as well. Yeah. You're same type 18, of thing. 19, 20 years old, you don't know. And, no. And we had 2 of them in the Fort Dix, in the basic training I was in. We had 1, and then the one that was right behind us, because you hear, the next phase moving through. It's like a machine. It's a well-oiled machine going through. Was then. I don't know what the hell it is now. Hey, RP. But, and then you get your first leave on the weekend and you go, don't go anywhere they have alcohol. And of course, there's the only place to go on base that has alcohol is that's where you're going to go. It was the bowling alley.
And I mean, they drank and drank and drank. They're trying to prove something, or first
Trying to
time they're cut
forget.
loose, and bam, gone. People don't realize it, And I'm sure there was quite a few times I could have gone from alcohol poisoning back in my day, and for some reason didn't. I can't really talk for the grace of God.
Yeah.
I mean, there was this one time we were doing. Oh my gosh, boy, that was a night. I don't know how I didn't die. We were doing Everclear moonshine. Basically moonshine out of mason jars. And we're doing shots and playing spades. Me and a bunch of airborne rangers. Just me. I walked out, folks. I walked out. I wound up face planted at my house, but and man, I'll tell you what, I woke up probably an hour later. If I hadn't woke up, Lord knows, but I drank. I never drank it again. All we had in the house, it was me and my first husband, and all we had in the house was he had this thing for high C fruit punch with you remember the little Hawaiian guy with the straw hat, and he'd be on the front of the can.
How
or
about a nice Hawaiian punch?
Hawaiian punch, yeah. And it was the green one, like this. I think Slimer took it over later on, but it was the green one. That must be
what Callie Snyder is asking you to tell there in the comments.
I must have drank a whole can of that stuff just to stay alive.
Callie, how you doing, man?
Hey, Callie, how you doing? Hi, honey. Yeah. Can you tell what?
That must the green be the one pudding you were going into. He read your mind.
Well, the green pudding is a little bit more devious, though. That one is, no, that's more of going down the line of they're in there with that Laurel Canyon MK Ultra. The certain agencies that are in charge of pushing buttons and making tornadoes out of nothing and stuff like that. But so what I know about that is a collection of data, very much like the paranormal, but over decades. So, and seeing it from different vantage points. So when I was I knew some people that were volunteering for anything that came up. And the first thing I was ever told by any soldiers that were friends of mine before I went in was never volunteer for anything. And so I didn't. And they didn't come. There was 5 that left. And I got to say, out of the 5, 4 came back funny. And I don't quite know how to explain that. And at different times when you were alone with them, you didn't get that one meeting where you could all talk like, what happened? Where were you? You got it in bits and pieces in different sporadic moments. So you might have had guard duty with somebody or fire guard where you could, talk a little bit and you got deep into, what did you guys go through? What do you remember? And it had to do with this almost like a pudding, but the pudding was like this green, kind of the same color as that Hawaiian punch, that fluorescent green look. And it would tasted like a vanilla pudding with a little bitter to it from what people described to me. That was late 80s, somewhere around in there. I was hearing a lot of that sporadically. And then later on, I didn't hear anything for, a decade, maybe 15 years. And then coming out, I started working with people that had been through certain things and all different kinds of uniform, let's put it that way. But for the most part, your 11 Bravos, which are infantry and specialized teams, that was coming back to me. And once they took it, they would take it right before being released on let's say, on a mission. And it would make them just, it's just warrior. That's the nicest words I could put through. Are you tracking me, Caillou? I'm pretty sure you are. So, I mean, it's really, really, it's very deep and devious and nasty, but it's nothing any different than what a certain group during World War II that may or may not have been from the Germanic region did to their soldiers. They pretty much cornered the meth and things like that. Anything to make like a super you know, machine in a uniform. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, good. Yep, he said yes. So that's pretty much it. And it's the scary part about it is how it came from so many different sources at different times, exactly the same details within, if that makes sense. So it's, it's like UFO story or Dogman story or ghost story. Something's up. So there's your green goo. Does that make sense, honey? Okay. Now, as far as colleges being castles, I was thinking too about the stuff that goes on within them. So not all of these colleges started out like colleges, Steve. There was, stuff before them. Like for looking into some of them, we're only going to talk about some of them tonight. But I thought we could, add to what the clips that we have by kind of thinking about why would a college, of course, any place can be haunted, a chicken stand, could be haunted because it might be been something on that land. We've talked about this a million zillion times. Might not have anything to do with the property or the place. It might just be the people within or the ghost. Again, there's there's hard and fast rules, but they're really, really rubber bandy, but within a college, if you've had a college that became a college after it was like a monastery or something like that, I could see there's an added layer there, that historic, I can imagine a bunch of monk ghosts wouldn't like what was going on at college, right now in these times. That would be a little unsettling to them. Wouldn't you think, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we've had a lot of hauntings that say, well, the ghost is here, and the only reason that they're getting uppity or banging things or causing issues or coming at you angry is because they're not approving of whatever's going on here. So they might be doing drugs. It might just be they're not used to that. Maybe say, what if you got a dorm that's now a co-ed? A lot of colleges do have that, where you have like a dorm that's co-ed, or you have that kind of thing, or even men and women in the same building. And you've got somebody from the 1800s or the, early 1900s, they're going to be just absolutely flabbergasted by what they're seeing. Imagine all the skin. Oh my gosh. It's just, where you couldn't show an ankle in the 20s, you literally had people on the beach measuring your hem to your knee, not too long ago. I mean, we said less than 100 years, didn't we, Steve? Was it like, 1923? We had pictures of them doing that in the bathing suits and stuff. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I think it also has a lot to do with usually when you had these colleges, and not so much anymore. I hate to say it. I'm sure that there are exceptions to the rule. I pray there are exceptions to the rules. But if you go back 50 years or even 40 years and look at the faculty that was within certain colleges, you probably had faculty that had been there all their adult life. A professor or administrator, or you're going to see one story tonight about a librarian, that was there like 40 some odd years. And of course you would be attached to these places. And in some cases, you're going to have the people that, for whatever reason, broke under the pressure, or unrequited love. The first time, it's not just the first time, away from home. It might be the first time you had a relationship, and you haven't really learned all that social stuff. And, kids are throwing themselves off of bridges and buildings and doing, like Steve said, just not knowing that you can't drink that much damn vodka in one night, and this hazing crap. We saw one great ghost story in here, Steve. I forget what college it was, but it was definitely a fraternity. And I believe it was, one of these, higher end Ivy League schools. And they had the hazing thing, and the kid got accidentally hit in the head with a paddle. And he forever was in, this place. And in some cases he was helpful. I think he'd saved them from a fire. But he also didn't like being erased. I think there was something about the blood that was splattered on the wallpaper always came back, and then they made a ball out of it. Do you remember this? I always thought that was so macabre, but they made a ball out of this wallpaper finally and put it in the, I guess, a showcase or whatever, like where you would put trophies and stuff like that. But that calmed the ghost down. And I think it was just he wanted to be recognized and not forgotten. But in some cases, a lot of cases, you've got that whole people that unlive themselves because maybe they failed a test. Maybe they, couldn't deal with the pressure. Parents had, spent their whole adult lives saving up to give this person an education. And that's a lot of pressure to be under for these kids. And because that's really what they are, at least when they start out. And a lot of them, it seems like throughout the past 100 years didn't make it all the way through. So there's a lot of sad stories too, Steve. This first one, talk about your castles. Look at this one.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. And that's just one of the buildings. Yeah. So this one was founded in 1842. The University of Notre Dame has a lengthy history with more than its share of on-campus tragedies. As a result, many are left wondering, is Notre Dame haunted? I would bet your sweet bippy it is, and not just by one or two. Oh, not by one or two either, because one, look at all the brick, look at the history,
University of Tennessee has a lot of buildings that look similar to that.
Right. But the structure of it, and, of course, the sports went off went absolutely bonkers. And that's what, pretty much paid for all of this. I mean, that's why everybody loves the whole Notre Dame team and the football. My mom was actually good friends with one of the coaches of Notre Dame. And believe me, they take it very seriously. There have been several recorded and confirmed deaths on campus. There's even a cemetery on the grounds where priests, faculty, and other campus residents were permanently laid to rest. The building on campus that is considered to have the most lurking spirits is Washington Hall, built in 1881. One of the spirits is that of a worker who fell from the roof during the building's construction. Another is rumored to be a student professor by the name of Jim Menevee. Despite dying in 1919, it is said that Menevee enjoys practicing his French horn in the middle of the night when the living are trying to sleep. Look at this, even the graveyard. This is actually a clip of their graveyard at Notre Dame.
The people that are buried there, I mean, think about that. A professor or somebody like that, like you said, that's worked there their entire adult life, and then they bury them there. Then no wonder they're going to haunt it. I mean, that'd be like if they buried you out behind AC Moore, how happy would you be about it?
That's a wonderful way to look at it. Can you imagine? Like, no, not here. It's not even my parking spot.
There you go, the Gipper. Yeah. Win one for the Gipper.
You want to grab that one? Can you see it?
Yeah, the most famous ghost at Notre Dame is the restless spirit of George Gipp. This All-American Notre Dame football star died of pneumonia in 1920 during his senior year at the university. That's where the saying, win one for the Gipper, comes from. Yep. That was what the coach told him after he died.
Hell of a speech.
Boys, we're going to go win one for the Gipper. There you go.
Oh, now Gipp, look, I was doing so good and I cut it off. I'm sorry, man.
That's okay.
Bring it as far as you can go.
I can fake it. George Gipp, namesake of the One for the Gipper speech. School publications from 1926 mention an international student looking out his window towards Wash Hall more than once and seeing the ghost of the Gipper charging into the hall on a white horse. Yeah. And a publication from 1921, when students still lived in the hall, mentioned hearing an eerie horn blow almost every night at midnight with no apparent source not long after
something.
Camaro.
Camaro.
Not long after.
Yep. Okay, that's the next one. Okay, sounds great. Okay, that's good. Well, good enough. What we didn't get there, we'll fill in here because I got video. You ready for a video? This is about let's 9 minutes. And welcome in, John. Welcome in. All right, here we go. I'm just looking at the chat, seeing, making sure I didn't miss anything.
Didn't hit the button quick enough.
Oh. Man, I was a big tequila drinker back in the day. Don't even talk about it. I can't even smell it anymore.
Close call with tequila one time. Yeah, just the smell of it. One or two times of that, and it cured me.
No,
I'm not a drinker at all.
no. Rum and Coke did it for me on that one. I think I pretty much killed. I used to drink Bacardi 151, double shots. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And at the time I was doing that, I probably weighed 110 pounds soaking wet. How in the world I ever survived? And probably on high heels too. That's why I'm such a mess now. You know, don't be stupid in your youth, because you'll pay for it later. I promise you. All right, so let's see if we've got a little bit about the Gipper here. All right, how's Nick? She good?
Yeah, she's doing good. She's
all right. We're gonna do a Nick check.
Baby's kicking and stretching, and you can see. I mean, if she's lays there and you watch her stomach, you can see, and he's in the right position. He's upside down with his head turned around the other way, and he's right where he needs to be to facilitate delivery.
Gosh, you got me Lamaze breathing.
1 week from today,
1 week,
if not sooner. That's 40 weeks, and I don't think we'll find out for sure Wednesday what the plan is, but I don't think they'll let her go a day over 40 weeks.
Yeah. Well, keep us posted. We all got our dates out there. All right, let's see.
Yeah, this was my last prediction was at September 2nd, but it ain't happened yet. Of course, we've got until midnight.
I told you, little man's going to take his time.
Yeah, there's a new moon tonight, and that's what I was going by. About 2 a.m.
He's going to be a low rider, and he's going to take his time. So he's going to be a smooth operator.
Yeah, he is. He's low riding right now. He's riding low and he does these little motions. It's just like he kind of undulates.
Yep.
D-Rock says he's going to be over 9.3 pounds.
Yeah, he's a low rider.
A big boy.
Low rider. Yep, he's going to be a smooth a smooth operator. I'm telling you right now. You didn't have a choice. This is going to be wonderful. All right, here we go. Notre Dame. Promise you a ghost. I'm going to give you one. I like her. I like her dress. It's not too early for Halloween, Steve. That's our job.
Never too early for Halloween.
Nope.
Spooky season has already begun. We were
already here, baby.
In August. Pumpkin spice coffee's already.
Everything nice.
Good stuff. And Monster cereals are back in the stores. I'll show you what a couple of this year's boxes look like after we come back from the video. Or is this the video?
It's coming.
Okay.
Gotta get some ghosties in there.
Okay. I didn't know if this was the video, if you got like a production.
This is Notre Dame. This is what's going on in the cemetery as we speak. This is the kind of activity going on down there at Notre Dame. Everybody's in the stadium. It's all going down the cemetery.
Going to college can be a pretty scary affair.
Here he is. Here he is, Steve.
Meet, teachers to impress, and all that academic pressure.
Here he comes.
You spend so much time worrying about what you want to do when you grow up. But choose a campus haunted by ghosts, and you can forget about the books. Instead,
love the fog.
You'll find yourself with a double major in life and death.
The Dark Traveler.
The University of Notre Dame is a school full of history and tradition. And football is as much a part of Notre Dame as its books and basilica. Every Notre Dame football fan swells with pride when they hear these legendary 5 words.
Win one for the Gipper. Win one for the Gipper. And win one for the Gipper.
The Gipper was Notre Dame football star George Gipp, who in 1920 died after a bout with pneumonia. On his deathbed, the 25-year-old Gipper told his coach, Newt Rockne, his one and only dying wish.
When the boys are up against it, when the breaks are not going their way, you tell them to go out and give their all and win one for the Gipper. And I don't know where I'll be, Rock, but I'll know and I'll be happy.
8 years after the Gipper's death, things were looking bleak for Notre Dame during a game against their arch-rival, Army. For the first time, Coach Rockne spoke those famous words.
He told them, this is that day, and you are that team. And they went out and they won the game.
Notre Dame beat Army that day 12-6, solidifying the Gipper's legend at Notre Dame. And 90 years later, his name still echoes through the school's halls. Only this time, his legend has nothing to do with football.
He's bad. He's real bad. He'll scare you to make you want to run out of the building.
I don't think he is, Steve.
Notre Dame
My
is
opinion.
located in South Bend, Indiana, and was founded by Catholic priests in 1842. Today, the campus has grown from 5 buildings to 136, with a new athletic facility soon to come. But legend tells us that the brotherhood that built Notre Dame had more in mind than just creating a beautiful campus. The buildings are grouped based on theories of sacred geometry.
The ancient churches of Europe usually were astronomically oriented, and there is what is called an Apollo St. Michael line that goes all across Europe into Asia, Asia Minor.
Is that something?
That comes very close to what we have here.
Like the pyramids in Egypt and Stonehenge in England, the location of the campus is meant to harness a divine power.
Is there energy there? All you have to do is just take a dowsing rod and you can feel it and know it and see it on occasion. Students and visitors feel it when they come here. They can't explain why, but they feel it.
And there's one building on campus that sits on the hot spot of this energy.
The energy line here goes right through the high altar of our basilica. And in the last 2 years, we've had 2 levitations I know of.
Wow.
Students at Notre Dame know their college experience will be like no other, but most have no idea of the powers their campus really holds.
I'm positive that the builders, the early community, knew of this energy. They were creating something on earth that, in the best of their ability, reflects God's designs.
This
Cam.
mystique attracts 8,000 undergrads and 3,000 grad students, most of whom find it hard not to get caught up in Notre Dame's school spirit.
It's incredible. Inside the locker room, there's plaques of all the Heisman Trophy winners, and you're surrounded by history everywhere you turn.
It's hard to put into words, but when you run out on that field for the first time and you kind of, hear the crowd, cheering as you come run out the tunnel, it's just an unbelievable experience.
At Notre Dame, some say football is like a religion, and George Gipp is their god.
Gipper was notorious, great football player, notorious for his escapades in town in the evenings.
Well, he was a very interesting individual, is the way I would put it. He was kind of a laid-back guy. He was almost shy, but yet he enjoyed playing poker. He enjoyed shooting pool. He enjoyed the good life. I'm sure he had a few drinks from time to time.
Legend says George Gipp's wild streak would soon cut his career and life short.
And he came back after curfew one night, so he couldn't get in, and he slept out on the steps, and it was really cold and rainy, so he caught pneumonia, and he died.
Now, just so you know, this reminds me a lot of Borley and everything else, where you've got that such as overbearing of I don't know, like it just seems like it doesn't give enough to allow a little extra compassion, where if you were really in trouble, you could go to that person. This guy, bless his heart, wasn't alcohol poisoning. He was just a little drunk. It was so cold outside, but he did not want to face this priest that was there. And later on, this priest actually was the one who said that they had to sage this whole hall and, run incense through it and do an exorcism and get him out because of the trumpet blowing, and people were starting to see him. But he didn't want to go in because he was scared of the repercussions. So I think that's a little sad. These kids should have somebody they could go to that, look, I messed up. I'm past curfew. I'll take my demerits. But to sleep outside like this, it's very much like the Blue Boy in Gettysburg College. Same type of thing, where the girls were so scared of the woman who was running the house. They made this little orphan boy go outside of the window, and she took him downstairs, and the kid got locked outside and died in the cold. We've told that story on this show too. So it just bugged me. I just think that's awful.
So that's why they say that he haunts this place.
Students passing Washington Hall late at night walk a little faster. But those who work there have no choice but to face its haunting past. And one employee had an encounter she'll never forget.
The lights were off other than the ghost light on the stage, and he come up onto the stage in front of me, and I reached out and I put my hand through him.
Locked out in life, it seems the Gipper isn't leaving in death.
It was just a weird, creepy feeling. And then you felt the cold draft, and then he left.
While night staff are used to his presence, about 20 years ago, a group of theater students wanted to put the legend of the Gipper to the test.
In 1986, a group of students came back in the building after hours and used a Ouija board and asked it about the ghost.
The night started off all in good fun, until a cryptic message began to appear.
And they repeatedly kept saying SG and telling them goodbye.
The students left frightened and confused, but it didn't take long for them to figure it out.
When they left, they saw a light come on in the green room from outside, and they looked back at the building and a security guard came outside. And so they knew that the ghost was kind of telling them to get out of the building.
It seems the Gipper was warning the students that they were about to get caught by security, and they got away just in time. Today, a group of Notre Dame students wants to recreate history, hoping to summon the spirit of George Gipp and prove that the strange noises they hear in the middle of the night aren't so strange after all.
I just thought it'd be really neat just to see if there really are any ghosts here, because there's always like really eerie feelings around here in certain areas, and there's so many stories.
But do these students know what they're in for?
I kind of want something major to happen, but then at the same time I don't want to be a little scary, but I hope we find something.
I have no idea what's going to happen tonight, but I think that it's going to be exciting, and I think that it's going to be something that we're either going to totally feel or not at all.
Okay, well, everyone needs to put their fingers on there, just lightly though. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on there, and we'll see if we can contact anybody. Okay, are there any spirits here that want to talk to us? Will you tell us your name?
Do you stay anywhere else on campus? No.
Did you die here?
Yes.
How did you die? F-R-O-Z. You froze?
Was it the ghost of George Gipp? Perhaps Notre Dame's divine energy, or just a student's overactive imagination?
There's so much about Notre Dame that's storytelling, and that's what all the other stories about too, wanting to be back at Notre Dame, wanting to be here for, another semester, another year, another 4 years.
Like so many of Notre Dame's students, it seems the Gipper just wasn't ready to graduate.
I think I know what you're talking about, Sarah. Who killed Sister Kathy? Are you talking about what's the name of that show? Wasn't Keepers. What was it called? Was it on Netflix? Can you clarify, Sarah? I'm not really sure what you mean. Was it one I did already? because there's been a couple of Katie's. I don't know which one you mean, but definitely put it down there. I mean, we'll do it. Is it true crime? Is it ghosts? So what do you think, Steve? I think that this is a classic case of anything that happens in that hall or on the campus, they're going to say it's him.
Yep. And there's
Count
Chocula for this year.
Nice.
I've got last year's, but I don't. I've got the boxes put away. But
is that Frightful Friends? Is that what that
looks
is?
different. Yeah, I've got the Monsters Have Pets too.
Look at that. Did you get the McDonald's the bucket yet?
Not yet. We've got calendars marked for that, and Duncan is doing a special Munchkins Halloween bucket, October 27th. We got
to get that
with Frightful Friends.
Well, this is the year that Little Man's born, so you got to get all the stuff that came out the year he was born.
The day that I was there, it was just last week. This was the last box of Blueberry with this year's.
It was my favorite. I so wanted to love this cereal because even as a kid, I loved ghosts, as you well know.
Yeah.
And I had to have the Blueberry boxes changed. Let's see what it was back in the 60s.
And they're already out of Frankenberry and Fruit Brute, Yummy Mummies, and then there was a new one last year, Carmela Crumb or something like that. And Frosted Mini Wheats is doing a special pumpkin spice version. They haven't gotten those in yet.
That's not the original.
But in the meantime, we have the limited edition pumpkin spice Cheerios. Look at that. And it's got a corn maze on the back. We live for Halloween.
I'm telling you. You get it all the time if you put something in social media. 1972. So I was 10 when it came out. Is that the original? No, it can't be. That doesn't look right. What did the original box look like?
The year sounds about right.
They're saying it's this, Steve.
9 years old.
Hang on. Let's see if we can get. Wow, that's huge.
But yeah, it's Count Chocula and Frankenberry, and then I think
that's not the original.
Blueberry might have came later. I don't remember. Then you had Fruit Brute, which was the werewolf, and then Yummy Mummies, and then last year they introduced Carmela Creeps, and
I don't remember the.
I've got them put away, but yeah, I'm working on getting this year's set.
That
there was a
doesn't
special Captain Crunch. And a lot of them, the Rice Krispies did a special one.
All right, let's see.
And some of those cereal boxes are worth a ton of money if you hang on to.
Darn it. Well, apparently so, because I just saw a bunch of them that were. One was $479.
Somebody says they saw you yesterday. Yeah, I went to a cereal box.
You did? Where?
Show convention one time. And some of them.
Oh, yeah, she was here last night. We had a good time, didn't we, Linda? We were talking about Turn with
cereal boxes and lunch boxes is a convention. Some of those lunch boxes are worth thousands of dollars, like we used to carry our lunch to school in. Yeah,
they're saying that doesn't look like the original to me.
I don't
that
know.
Doesn't. I'm not getting any recall on that at all.
On the back, 50th anniversary something. Monster Mask Edition. Yeah, that's not the original. That's definitely not.
And I can't find any that are. I don't recall him looking like that.
Right. No.
Let me see if I can find. I've got original.
That one, kind of in the bottom toward the left. That might have been closest to what he used to be. General Mills. Let's see.
They all look the same to me, but I'll tell you what. This is bugging me because usually when you see an image like that, you'll get a total recall on it. Like I've got total recall for this.
Yeah.
Do you see this? Hang on 1 second.
Yeah,
you see that?
Changed a little bit over the years, but
I recognize those.
Yeah, and they did a one last year called Monster Mix-Ups.
God, Steve!
Put together the Boo.
I don't know what it is, but I want it. If a Boo Hooter, I got to get one. I don't care what it is.
It's like a whistle or something that you put on your bicycle or no.
Oh my goodness! Actual size. Look at there. This is a red and white one. This kid here in the corduroy bell bottoms and the turtleneck, the extremely uncomfortably dressed boy, he seems to be real happy with his. I got a Boo Hooter. She said, I got one already. This kid on the back of the tricycle, look, he's got 2 of them. Wow. I missed out.
Inside the Boo Hooter.
I did not get a Boo Hooter. I'll tell you what, I'm still mad too. When I was about 3 years old, I saved up box tops. My older sister helped me do it. We mailed off the envelope to get the Woody. Yes, I'm going to mention it again. It's still stuck like a raspberry seed in my tooth. My Woody Woodpecker whistle. I did not get it. I went out to the mailbox. I don't know how many times. I'm not going to forget it. It's not forgiven. It's not forgiven.
Here you go.
So what do we got next?
I'll send you a link here in the.
What you got? Did you find it?
I found something in the private chat there. It's got a bunch of different General Mills cereals. It's got Boo Berry. It's got the Boo Hooter, the Monster Cars.
It's got the one with the Boo Hooter inside.
And then if you
1981.
scroll down, it's got Count Chocula from the Star Wars. So that's going to be what, 76, I think.
Where are you at with Count Chocula? Sorry, chat. This is important.
We took a little side trip here.
All right, I see Count Chocula pouring milk, but where's the Boo? Maybe he didn't come along till later. Was it just Count Chocula and Frankenberry at first?
That was, I think, at first it was just those 2.
Okay, maybe that's what it is then. All right.
Let's see. Count Chocula. Here you go. Count Chocula. This is right from the Betty Crocker website. Count Chocula and Frankenberry were both introduced in March 1971. These 2 flavors were the only chocolate and strawberry flavored cereals on the market at the time. The first blueberry flavored cereal, Blueberry, was launched in December of 1972, so a year later.
Okay. But nobody knows what it looks like.
Oh, and
it's
then,
invisible. It's elusive, just like a ghost would be. That makes perfect sense to me.
Oh, and if you want, I'll put this in there too. Here is a link to a YouTube version of the commercial for the Boo Hooter.
Oh,
it's in the private chat.
Oh, absolutely. And we're doing this.
Oh, yeah, it's giving me some
flashbacks. Oh my goodness. Lord have mercy on us all. Here we go. Trip down memory lane. I am pushing buttons like nobody's business. Anything can happen. Seatbelts, everybody. Put the seatbelt sign up, Cat. All right. Seatbelt light is activated. All right, here we go. Boo Hooter. I got to make a t-shirt, Steve.
Ask me about my Boo Hooter.
And that'll go over in the paranormal community like, I'm telling you what, like a haunted doll. All right. Let's get it rolling.
Blueberry can't bother us up here. Hello, Blueberry. I just want to tell you about my new toasty good blueberry flavored cereal, Blueberry. With the haunting blueberry taste.
And look and listen to this. A Boo Hooter. Boo your friends with crazy hooters.
Gotta get it.
4 different
Gotta get
colored Boo Hooters, so you can make a Boo Hooter band. 1 free in specially marked boxes of Blueberry.
Boo Hooter band. Maybe we get them to play for Halloween, Steve.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fantastic. That's just made my whole day. That's amazing. You have to understand, Steve and I really love nostalgia. I mean, around Halloween, we'll pull out the 1960s, 1950s home movies and watch other kids trick or treat. Kids that are probably what, gosh, how old would they be now, Steve? Gosh, gone. 50s.
Yeah, at least.
I mean, they're so cool.
Have one of those Boo Hooters for sale.
You're going to get a Boo Hooter?
If I can find one.
Oh my goodness, guys, look, everybody see if you can get a Boo. If you look for a Boo Hooter, if you've got one, there might be one in the attic, maybe in the old toy bin or something under the old teddy bear, the old moldy teddy bear.
To see one up close to see if it's actually marked Boo Hooter. Can't really tell from the pictures I'm seeing online.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to tell people what I'm doing tomorrow. So
okay.
I looked and looked and looked, and I found on the archives, I can show you guys in its entirety the movie The Haunted from 1991. And it is definitely a case that the Warrens were involved in. But this is the case that I always tell you about, where they kind of got the both shitty ends of the stick, because not only were they genuinely haunted, but they get the legacy of being in a chain of Warren cases where now they're tied to, however you feel about that, they're all mixed up in it. And I don't think they, deserve to be. If you understand what I'm saying. This was a smooth case from beginning to end. I mean, it was horrific for them, but the way it progressed in the help they got and the way it was handled, the family themselves, they've been impeccable. The father, the mom, everybody, the neighbors, multiple witnesses, and it just got looked over again. Long Island, okay, in the 70s, right around the same time as you had your oh gosh, what was the name of that cemetery, Steve, where it was just like Poltergeist? The dark
something
deep cemetery case. What gosh, I can't remember. They're all blending together. But it was an entire damn development, and it was, the whole thing was they built the development on the land, on
it was like the whole neighborhood
a cemetery, right, that was segregated for people of color. All right, which again, that kind of thing happened. It's terrible, but it did. And they just moved the headstones to the most what people can figure, because they had people that had lived in that town that were grandchildren of the people. They knew the people, and they could tell you about where they were, and they saw the houses being put there. So the typical story: somebody was trying to dig a pool and hit some graves, and things have been going on all along, pretty much like Poltergeist. And remember, we did an episode on it, and it was the guy where the one of the male ghosts had stole a pair of red shoes for his wife and put them on his wife's grave. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
that was trippy. But that was a rough case. But it was around the same time that was happening. And again, Poltergeist was not based on that case, because that case was actually wide open and active, full tilt boogie, when that was playing in theaters, probably in their local mall, which is another trippy thing about that whole case. But this one is The Haunted, and it's with the Smurls, and they were in the 1970s, and this was a man, a factory worker, manager, whatever, typical guy in the 70s, station wagon, that kind of thing, duplex. His parents lived next door, and his wife and I think 3 daughters lived in the next part, and they had a full-blown, very much like Amityville, got no press. And then slowly, this paperback came out, and then the movie, and it just kind of went quiet, So if you want to watch that with me tomorrow night, 8:00, we'll watch it. We'll have a listen live, and you can watch with me in the chat, and it'll be cool, because this case has it all, and it's a start to finish. So, it's full circle. It really is. So there you go. We're going to start our spooky season. Pretty cool, huh, Steve?
Yes, indeed.
I love it when we can do that, because it's one thing to describe a movie. It's another to watch with people, and it's really cool to have a watch party. I think it's like you can go to a theater and watch a movie with friends and not have to leave whatever your house, your bed, your TV, or whatever. So it's kind of neat. And we're learning too, because this is probably one of a very well documented case to learn from if you're interested in how this stuff works, because it's got it all, it really does. And light beats dark, let's just leave it that way, but it does get scary, so it's not for the faint of heart, or but it's a 1970s, made for TV movie, so how bad could it be, right, Steve?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so that was that one. And our next one, we're going to take a stop, I think, into Massachusetts, into Mount Holyoke. Mount Holyoke. And again, does that not look like a castle, Steve?
It certainly does.
And I think that's, I think that just adds to the whole mystique of the whole thing, all right, can you see that? Do you
Yeah.
want to get this one?
At my old college, Mount Holyoke, one story went a little something like this. Sometime during her spring semester at Mount Holyoke, a young student learned that she would not be graduating with her fellow classmates. She was a senior and had become very distraught when she discovered that she had failed all 4 of her exams. Her parents couldn't afford another semester of college. They had spent all their life savings to send their only child to receive a good education all the way out in western Massachusetts. And what they got in return was nothing. Driven by stress and by guilt, the night before what should have been her graduation, the student went outside and crossed the tiny wooden bridge above the waterfall of Lower Lake. Today, the bridge is known as Spider Bridge because, as its name suggests, it was always crawling with spiders.
Yuck. That was hard for me to even print that.
The student perched herself up on the ledge and tied a rope around her neck. Can I say all that? You got it blocked out there.
Well, I can YouTube read.
Maybe
I think
not.
I did that backwards. I think you weren't supposed to say it, but I could have wrote
she
it.
Tied
It doesn't matter.
Blank around her blank. We'll play the match game here. You put your best guess in the card there. She tied a blank around her blank. Dumbledore was so dumb. Remember those questions? She tied a blank around her blank, but not before drawing out a knife and plunging the blade straight through her chest. Oh, but that's okay. We can say that part. Of course, as the logic of physics would have it, she fell. Later that night, another student walked across the bridge to return to her dorm when she heard a voice saying, "Help me, I'm down here."
Isn't that horrible?
The student looked over the bridge and saw the bloody and strangled body. The blank student's icy toes dangling just above the water beneath her. When the student called the police, they cut the blank and dragged her blank back to the bridge. However, when the student recounted hearing the words, "I'm down here," the police gave her a grave look, no pun intended.
No pun intended.
But it turned out, the blank, it turned out, had been hanging over the bridge, or had been blanking over the bridge for an hour. Sorry, I'm doing
sounds like
funny out of it, but
it's funny. Yeah, I know it's horrible.
Every night during finals week, well, dark humor, gallows humor, it has a place. To this day, every night during finals week in the spring, some students have claimed to see the Lady of Lower Lake swinging from the bridge, or even heard her whisper, "I'm down here," as students cross the bridge during the late hours of the night. That's actually a creepy, creepy story.
Isn't it creepy? Because the whole thing is, "Help me, I'm down here." There's another, I guess, what do you call them? Shorts or clips or tickety talks, whatever they are. Those things that come up and get you caught. Before you know it, you're in a rabbit hole of like, how long have I been in here kind of thing, because you're looking at cat videos and whatever it may be. Dogs doing, jumping. Yeah. So anyway, there's this kid, and I guess he's at it almost looks like he's at a rest stop or at it, which, don't go to these things, people. Just don't go to rest stops. And, or, a really nice public bathroom in a park or something like that. Again, don't go to those either. But because that's the way it looks from the outside. I don't have any, information, what he's doing, because you can hear it. And he's walking by this bathroom and he hears, "Somebody help me," screaming like you're reading here, "Help me, somebody help me." And I mean, it sounds just as real as you can imagine. You'd think the echo, everything is perfect. And you can tell he's hesitating, like, what? But you almost can't not run in there because of the frequency in which this woman is screaming for help. I mean, you just instinctively are running towards it. My God, it's nice to see somebody running towards something like that instead of just, of course he's videotaping as he's running. He runs in and you can hear it again right before he turns. You know how like they'll have these like metal walls and you'll go in. It's almost like a human cattle turn, and you go in and then there's a wall and you'll turn and do a U-ey and go on the other side of the wall, and it slowly carries you into this building. So you've got to get some privacy that way. And the doors open, you can hear her screaming one more time, echoing off this tile. And in this public bathroom, it's probably got 4 stalls in it. And he's looking everywhere and there's nobody in there. and the screaming stops. And the whole end of this whole thing, there's no way anybody could have gone in there the way he went in. There was no break in the vid, and you could hear it as he's making that turn, and then you see him go into the place and nothing. It's just mind-blowing. And I think that's what this reminds me of, is that moment caught in time of somebody in extreme dire and just that explosive energy going out into time, like that stone tape theory almost, Steve.
Yep.
No, that's what this reminds me of. It's extremely creepy, like you say, and it hits you hard. It really does. All right, that's the next one. So I believe I have a video that kind of goes with that. I think if I can hit the right one. Yep, I do. All right, this one is about the same, about 9 minutes, and I'm going to get some hot water. I'll be right back for my tea. All right? All right.
Let it roll.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's nice stuff. Those brushes on those. Yeah. Yeah.
Coming up, the shroud of night hides the deepest, darkest secrets.
In the quaint town of South Hadley, Massachusetts, sits the nation's oldest continuing institution for higher learning for women. It's called Mount Holyoke College. And while today young women from all over the world are dying to get into this competitive liberal arts school, there are some who have died and can't get out. Founded by educator Mary Lyon in 1837, Mount Holyoke's 2,000 students continue to hold on to the traditions of its founder.
From the athletic complex to our classrooms and student center, there's so much to rave about. It's just a great place to live and study.
The traditions have stayed for so long, and there are so many because it was founded in 1837, and at that time it was the first women's college anywhere in the U.S., and they've just kept going with the whole sisterhood bond and keeping the community together.
The all-women's atmosphere is incredible. It's an atmosphere unlike I've ever experienced. It's an intensely complex support network.
But when it comes to ghosts at Mount Holyoke, students can't say they haven't been warned.
I remember the very first orientation, they were like, okay, here you are, you're gonna hear ghost stories. There are lots of ghost stories. They were like, if you're scared, leave, because these are scary ghost stories.
Many of the ghost stories are attributed to the body buried in the center of campus. It is the grave of the college founder, Miss Mary Lyon.
As a presence on campus, she is quite, present. She is absolutely here.
Mary Lyon founded the school in 1837, and it was a labor of love.
Mary Lyon was a huge advocate for women's higher education, and even today, all who say her name do so with a great appreciation of her efforts. But there was one person at Mount Holyoke who didn't share the admiration. Rumor has it that Mary Lyon and the school's religious clergyman, Deacon Porter, were having an illicit affair.
Deacon Porter was a good friend of Mary Lyon, and some would say perhaps too good of a friend.
Today, a picture of the deacon's wife, Mrs. Hannah Porter, still hangs on campus. And some students swear the portrait is possessed.
Hannah Porter's portrait is, in fact, very somber, and apparently the look she takes on during finals time is very disapproving. Many students perceive this as her final vengeance against Mary Lyon for the affair she perceived between our founder and Deacon Porter.
But a creepy painting isn't the only remnant of the past that comes alive at Mount Holyoke. Mary Lyon herself makes her presence known. And while she isn't necessarily menacing, there is one spot on campus where students and staff don't like to go.
I live on the 4th floor of Wilder. I would say it is haunted. What do you think?
Definitely. Yes, it's really haunted.
Students assigned to the 4th floor say they've seen firsthand that Mount Holyoke's ghost stories aren't stories at all.
My roommate was asleep in her room, and I had just gone to bed in my room, and it was probably about 1:30 in the morning. And all of a sudden, I hear footsteps walking. So I think, okay, it's my roommate Hannah. She's up, walking around. I hear the footsteps come in my room, come over to my bed. I'm sleeping on my side with my eyes closed the entire time. And so the footsteps come over, they stop at the edge of my bed. And I feel like somebody's just looking at me, just kind of check to see if I'm asleep or not. And I feel an arm come out and sort of like go to grab my arm.
Was it Mary Lyon checking up on her students? Or was another of Mount Holyoke's many spirits reaching out from beyond? There are legends of a stressed-out student committing suicide.
They'll hear someone crying, saying, "Help me," or you'll see someone hanging underneath the bridge.
And stories of a mysterious whispering woman.
There's someone called the Whispering Woman. What she does is she calls at 4 and 5 in the morning and will just say, "Hello, hello, hello," in this really freaky voice.
One day I just received like 6 phone calls in the span of an hour. I was totally freaked out, so I'm calling the public safety. Like, somebody's calling me, and they're like, "Oh, it's the Whispering Woman." Like, she's starting early this year.
There's even rumors of murder victims still seeking to tell their tales.
The story that goes along with that is that there was a young woman who got locked in the closet and tried to scratch her way out and ended up dying in this closet.
But then there was also the feeling from the bathroom of that, something horrible had happened in there.
Sometimes when I'm brushing my teeth late at night, I can feel something disturbing around me. It's just really unpleasant.
There are so many ghost stories at Mount Holyoke, it is hard to tell which ones are based in truth and which ones are just urban legend. But there's one ghost that even skeptical students can't deny. She's a foggy form roaming the 4th floor. Students believe this spirit is that of a former student who killed herself in a room after she was stood up by a boy. Today, the room where she hung herself is off limits to all.
For a long time, it was reported that students who were rooming in the room had their legs broken routinely.
Fact or fiction, no one wanted to take a chance. The room was boarded up.
What?
But when a housing crisis hit the college in the 80s, the dean contemplated reopening the room. But only after staying the night in it herself to prove the rumors were nothing more than urban legend.
They had their legs
she
broken?
attempted to spend the night there to disprove the myth to the Mount Holyoke students because nobody wanted to live there. And as the story goes, she left in the middle of the night, raving, seal it, rip down the walls.
No one knows exactly what happened that night.
She didn't get her legs
never uttered a word.
I'm sure you've heard the room in Wilder is closed off. So it still is closed off. I mean, maybe there's a problem.
But it seems like at Mount Holyoke, when one room is boarded up, the ghost of the White Lady just moves to another.
So this is a room where social functions are held to this day, and the woman in white frequently makes appearances at them.
But even students who've never seen a ghost know that the supernatural is just part of the Mount Holyoke experience.
In all honesty, I'd probably freak out and go to another room and maybe call Residential Life and be like, "My room's haunted, hon. We need to fix this."
And while the late-night moans and creaks echoing through the campus can be terrifying, at least students in this sleepy Massachusetts town have something to talk about the next day.
Maybe we're more sensitive, more intuitive. I think that is definitely part of it. And we like to talk, giggle, and scream.
And at Mount Holyoke, telling stories is a way of keeping their rich tradition alive. And perhaps a way of accepting that at this school, the dead just might be walking among the living.
It's exciting. It is a weird way. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's kind of like a creepy movie.
love the brushes on those drums, man. Isn't that nice? Very cool. All right. Well, that one, a lot to unpack there. She actually said that people who slept, they just blew it off. Did you happen to hear that, Steve?
Yeah.
The young lady said that the people who slept in there had their legs broken routinely, is I believe what the young lady said.
That's what she said.
I mean, that seems like a lot. Routinely.
Oh, just another set of broken legs.
And nobody wanted to sleep there. I think that's what she finished off with. I can imagine. Who would want to? And then, of course, there's the dares. We dare you to sleep in there. We dare you to, spend the night by yourself. That's another thing with the paranormal. I watch a lot of, I try to get a little bit of everything. I might not watch the whole thing. I'll tell you right now, I can't stand to watch the ones that yell at the ghosts the whole time. You know what I mean, Steve? They're going through, I don't know what country. There's certain countries. Yeah. No, well, that too. But that's not exactly what I mean. What I mean is there's certain cultures that believe that if you're going to go through an abandoned, like say, where these kids go into, they'll go into caves and tunnels and abandoned mines and factories and things, places I'd never step foot in, for multiple reasons, let alone what might be in there in the paranormal. That's like the last thing you need to worry about. But they go in and they have because of their belief, they'll go in and I think it's Middle Eastern that cusses at them, and I think Japanese do too. So they'll pray at them, but one of them has to yell at them and curse at them. I think that's do you guys know what I'm talking about? But it's just the whole time, but they keep going. Do you know what I mean? These videos of these kids out there, paranormal, freelancing, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. And they'll go through like the cemetery or something, and they'll get scared. And the more scared they get, the more they'll yell and curse at them or pray and then curse at them, or they have like different mixtures of what they do. And that makes me crazy. And I cannot stand, and I don't mean to put this down on anybody. It has nothing to do with the technique. It has nothing to do with the equipment. It has nothing to do with the premise of using the equipment and the technique. None of that. It has nothing to do with it, but the sound and the frequency and how it affects my body. And I'm sure there's things like that for you guys. Like some people can listen to nails on a chalkboard and some people can't. You know what I mean? Everybody's different. And my thing is that whatever that equipment is, it does and it just keeps getting louder and louder. And there's people are sitting in a room, and my whole body is tying into a knot when I'm listening to that. Do you know what? I can't be around it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
All right. So this one you're going to like. I thought of you. Ringling car. Now it's interesting. It's not quite what you think. And we do have a video on it. So I'm going to let them explain it because I'll just muck it all up, and we're getting close. We're going to be great on time tonight. This is great. But when you first see this, what comes to mind? It's in Sarasota, Florida. And what comes to mind?
Pee Wee Herman.
That's not where I thought you were going to go. I thought Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, and everything about the circus. But it turns out to be a really nice college with they'll tell you, but it was a really odd start for the building. It's like one of those things I mentioned in the beginning about it depends too on what was the building before, and what was there before. It's not just, was it a monastery? Was it a nunnery? Was it a slaughter farm? I mean, it could be anything, and that's going to affect it too, But I thought this one was really interesting because I was surprised at the school and how it turned out. It was just like so normal. I thought it was going to be, honestly, I know there's clown schools. I actually had a friend who went to one, and I know one is in Florida, but this isn't it. This is something totally different. So you want to read a little bit about that?
Yeah. Charles Ringling passed in 1926, But was he ready to go? With such a historic campus, it can be presumed that ghosts wander the dusty halls, dark, eerie corners, and live on within their former homes. That clown there is frightening.
Isn't that scary? That was kind of one for me too, where I look back and I can almost remember the movie I first saw that in as a kid. That was something. It was part of, I got a flashback, Sorry, I need a sip of tea. We're doing Christmas blend. So I'm doing so many holidays today, Steve. I don't care.
Yeah,
I've just
you're way ahead.
Thrown it all to the wind. I've thrown it to the wind. It's like, why even keep count anymore? Celebrate what you want to celebrate, when you want to celebrate it. Right, Steve?
That's right.
We're all celebrating this week anyway. Little man's coming. Don't show him this video. That clown is scaring me to death. So it's in Sarasota. Did I say Sarasota? I think I did.
Sarasota.
How about that?
Sarasota.
Go ahead.
They say her name was Mary, and that 8 decades ago she lived in the Bay Haven Hotel on the dusty North Trail. These days, legend has it, Mary haunts the 3rd floor of the lodging house, now Ringling School of Art and Design freshman dormitory.
There
so
you
now
go.
This is different than the Clown College. This is Ringling School of Art and Design.
I know, and I was not aware.
I didn't know they had that. Yeah,
I didn't either, and it blew my mind because listen, when I was in high school, I was nothing but art. I was all about it. I was going to be graphic designer, and we did everything by hand back then. And I've told the story before about how I was like at that crossroads where I'm like, ooh, I can see computers coming, and I was already doing album covers and small local bands and stuff.
Yeah,
and logos and things like that, and I loved it, and I could see the change coming. So I said, I better learn something else too. You see what I mean? Not be stuck into one thing. I could see where people were going, and I was looking at art schools, and this one was never on my radar. But so it really threw me off. I was expecting clowns and monkeys in tuxedos, So
yeah.
that's what I was doing. All right, so that's that one. Now are you ready for the vid on this? It's kind of exciting, but I want to say before we start that this girl Mary, and it's not just about her. There's other stuff too, but she, for some reason, reminded me of what was the young lady's name? Peg. I want to say Entwistle.
Peg Entwistle that jumped off the Hollywood sign.
Off the Hollywood sign, and I don't know. It just has that feel to me. Maybe it's because how she dressed and carried herself, and some of the more of the way she
same
was.
Time period, roughly.
Yeah, more of the way she was than the actual event, facts and all. All right, here we go. Nope, that's the wrong one. Never mind. Hold on. Okay, it's up here. Hold on. Okay. Got another door, folks. No problem. We got it. Some more of our friend here. Now, the young man, I'm assuming it's the young man that loaded this, cut it at the very end. So we're not going to get to see the last ghost story, but we do get to see this one. And like I said, we're right on time, so we're good.
No parents, no curfews. The perfect chance to try something new. But on a haunted campus, an encounter with the unknown can turn ghostly and will send you running scared right back to mom and dad.
You're such a cheeky monkey.
Welcome to Sarasota, Florida, home of warm beaches, bikinis, and the circus.
Here we go.
Believe it or not, the vacation destination of Sarasota owes much of its history to the Ringling Brothers Circus. But it's another Ringling building whose history is far more bizarre than the Big Top. Ringling School of Art and Design attracts an eclectic mix of art students. These creative types can major in computer animation, graphic and web design, illustration, photography, and much more. But you won't find hauntings listed in the course book. It seems at Ringling, ghost sightings are strictly extracurricular.
You see a skeletal figure floating in the air above you. That's pretty scary.
I didn't believe it until I saw her that night. It's kind of an eye-catching experience and a life-changing experience.
Ringling's resident ghost dates back to the 1920s. Students call her Mary, and many believe life wasn't kind to this depressed and aging prostitute.
This is actually a picture I took in the hallway of what I believe could be Mary.
I don't know what it was. It was scary, whatever it was. Call it what you will. Maybe I was, hallucinating. Maybe I was dreaming, but I don't know. I heard a lot of ghost stories from here, and this close to the room where it happened, I don't know what's happening.
So how did a prostitute's apartment become an art school? It all started when circus celebrity John Ringling came to town
There he
with
is.
dreams of building a school of art and design.
He was a man, wasn't
He
he?
not only was interested, obviously, in the circus, but he's also very interested in art. And so he collected art, and his dream was actually to build a museum, a major museum, and have an art school that would be part of that museum.
In the late 1920s, Ringling bought an old hotel. He soon converted the hotel into Ringling School of Art and Design's first campus building. Little did he know, the building's unsavory past would find a way of catching up with the present.
That building's just riddled with
Legend
energy.
has it the hotel was home to the seedier side of Sarasota, and it was here where Mary lived and worked.
Like the alliteration there, the seedier side of
Enjoying the last
Sarasota.
days before the
Where
Great
she
Depression,
worked.
Mary was in a depression of her
Bless
own.
her heart.
A
That's
life
gotta
in the
be
shadows
depressing.
was too much for her to handle. On a fateful night, Mary decided she couldn't take another day of her meaningless existence. She
a little
hung herself
harsh,
in the
isn't it?
staircase between the second and third floor of the building.
Don't look, YouTube. Don't look. Last
But
time I
Mary's
got cut off
story
because
wasn't
of ghost
over.
committed suicide.
In fact, it was only just beginning. Today, the old hotel is a dormitory known as the Keating Center Residence Hall. Many believe the lady in white has never left her former home.
The stories of Mary are legendary. We've heard stories over and over again from various students who have experienced the ghost of Mary, if you will, in our Keating Center, which has been a residence hall for 75 years almost.
The hall's recurring resident has made her presence known to generations of students at Ringling.
Well, I started Ringling in the fall of 1985, and I was a fine arts major and lived in the dorms, what's now Keating Hall. I noticed some funny things starting to happen in my room. I'd leave and turn the lights out, and when I come back on, the lights would be on. I had a scarf that was just sort of draped over a doorknob, and it was all of a sudden tied around the door one time. So just little kind of creepy things that I would notice that would make me a little bit nervous.
That's creepy.
But on one fateful night, Mary went from a playful prankster to a terrifying specter.
I woke up and opened my eyes, and there was this ghostly figure hovering in the far corner of my room.
She closed her eyes, hoping it was a dream. But when she opened them again, Mary was still there.
And I said, "Mary, go. You don't live here. You're not welcome here."
Mary vanished, just as a concerned
Rejected
neighbor who
again.
heard screams ran
Rejected
in.
again. And then I told her what had happened, and she said that she had had encounters with her too in her room.
Mary's hovering act has also made its way outside the walls of Keating.
My friend and I, Todd, were talking and walking towards the Keating Hall.
It was 2 a.m, and the entire campus seemed dead to the world. But one resident was a little more dead than the rest.
I stopped, and my friend wasn't paying attention to what was in the front. He was paying attention to me. And then he turned around and looked at me and said, "What are you looking at?" On the very top floor was a girl standing in the window. It didn't seem right because the girl was dressed in more of the early 1900s, late 1800s long dress, but it wasn't quite right.
Right before their eyes, the shadowy figure
How do you know it was wrong?
We ran over to where the bushes were, to where she would have fallen, and there was nothing there. It was just an ominous, eerie sight.
I think that's what reminds me of Pagan.
Is Mary's spirit teaching the students of Ringling a lesson in fear? Or is she simply a wayward soul too depressed to graduate to a place of even higher learning? For some, it's a terrifying visit from the other side. For others, it's just another part of the frightening and mysterious experience
What are
that
they
is
learning there?
college. Coming up, roommates sleep with their lights on in this New Hampshire dormitory.
That's the one that he cut off. Sorry, guys. And I'm watching it, and I was trying to record that one too because I was going to research it and go back, and all of a sudden the first story started again. I'm like, man, what'd you do? But I know exactly what he did when he was editing. He just spliced it wrong or whatever. But I used to do it all the time. Steve would go, Cisco, we've seen this one before. I'm like, dang, did I loop that back? It happens, guys. I'll tell you, the hardest thing about doing this is the editing. I think that's the most time consuming thing too. You know, Steve and I used to do the old just audio thing, and I don't think, you know, it's a different type of thing that you're doing. You know, it really is different. It's a whole different, you know, format. I like being with the people and sharing things. I think now at this time in my life, the best thing I get is like the feedback. You know, what are other people thinking about this case? You know, what do you think? You know, first thing that comes to my mind is around Mary. My heart goes out to her because she had such a rough time in life. You know, whatever her choices were, circumstances were, times, we don't know. We can't judge, you know. Just like going back to Saloon Girls and all this other stuff. So past that, now she's a ghost and she's stuck in a place, obviously stuck. She's seen doing different things, usually trying to hook up with people in their, you know, REM sleep or in the middle of the night, hovering, you know, trying to like maybe connect in with that energy, you know, female energy, like, wow, you know, she recognizes, you know, that kind of feeling, whatever. And then she's showing other people that she's jumping, you know, and disappearing, like Peg or whatever her name is. And that whole thing to me is decades of people know this happened, know the story behind it. Why isn't someone with abilities in there just sitting, pulling up a chair and going, I'm right here. Let's sort through this. Let's get you, you know, get you some peace, get you over, instead of doing this. I understand being scared and banishing her away because you don't want her there in your room. I can understand people doing that. But for people who understand this, why aren't they doing that? Why are we just telling the story over and over? That's my thoughts. Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
You know, that's it just annoys me so much. There's another one about a haunted, and it'll just break your heart. It's really deep, and I've pieced it together over, you know, the decades since it happened, and I don't know the exact date off the top of my head, but Neil Young wrote a song about it, For Dead in Ohio, and there was a young girl who got shot that day, that it said that she haunts her dormitory room on campus in Ohio, and the family was aware of it. People who got the girls who finally reached out, and it was again decades later when they finally got a hold of the mom. She was much older, of course, and she actually sat on the bed and they tried to talk to her. I mean, it was an amazing story. I never got to the point where I actually heard the outcome of all the attempts that they were doing, but I can tell you this: if it was done in love and light, and it was done in understanding, and all those people coming together in that girl's name, strangers and her mom, only good could have come from it. You know what I mean? For them just to throw out that love and light. But that's another story of, you have to understand you're dealing with people too. You know, even the Gipper, you know, look at how he passed so tragically, basically, you know, on those steps, too drunk and too, you know, scared to go in. He laid down on those steps and wound up getting sick and pneumonia and all this other stuff. We hear stories over and over and over again. And I think these college campuses are just ripe with it because of everything Steve and I said in the beginning, you know, plus the land and what may have happened there, and the buildings and what they were before, like in Mary's case, you know. And I don't know. I think if you can get together, there's a lot of. I went to my first seminar. The kids were young, and on a college campus, some people very much like the Warrens did, where they would go and give these talks, and people would sit and ask them questions or whatever. And there'd always be those couple people that had kind of held back to the end of the evening, and everybody's already grabbed their coats and 70% of people are gone in their cars already. And that they've got an issue at their house. It's a real thing, and I think college campuses are, both good and bad in that light where ghosts are considered. That's pretty much all I got on colleges. I wish I could have. I'll tell you now, I could look around here, just around me, within probably a 50-mile radius, and come up with, as many stories of haunted colleges, Steve. And I know you could too. You came in with a few tonight.
Yeah, they're all over the place. I think, especially any older college that's 100 years or more old is going to have some hauntings.
Yep. Hey, Lisa. Lisa says she's a medium. Are you anywhere close to what was the college that she was at? She at Mount
Holyoke. Mount Holyoke.
Mount
That's
Holyoke.
about an hour farther west of where I am.
Because I mean, I'm not really joking. If you get to know me, if you stick around, you get to know me. We created this chain of paranormal, wonderful people with abilities, and I tell people all the time, hey, if you're close there, get some, brothers and sisters together and go down there. Let's cross this individual. At least let her know that she has the ability to do it. Sometimes you got to leave them to their own free will, but I make sure if I walk away from them, by gosh, they know all you got to do. No, don't forget. It's that kind of thing, because I hate to think of anybody being stuck. And I just think it's tragic. You have a tragic life, and then you have a tragic afterlife. That sucks. It shouldn't be that way. Yeah. I'm a Hans Holzer girl, straight up. I don't, I mean, that's just the formula I grew up on. It's like, look, I'm not afraid of ghosts. They're just people in need of help, and let's get in there and let's get her done. And other people see that as arrogant, or you don't have the power to do that. You don't have the right to do that. I'm not doing anything. I'm just telling them they have the power to do it. That's my point, because they don't know. You don't know what state of mind they're in. What state of mind do you think this Mary was in when she took her life? She's trying to tell everybody, right? Yeah. This happened. I did this. This happened to me. I'm somebody, and they're all somebody. And again, it's like being a medium. I'm sure Lisa and other people with abilities in here can say it. It's like going into a Walmart and just pick anybody at random. Now they're a ghost. And try to explain all that to them. What are they seeing? What's their vantage point? What frequency are they vibrating on? You know what I mean? You have to. It's therapy in a lot of ways, and there's a lot of people out there trying to handle it. It's just like you met somebody on the street that needed a little help, a little direction. It's like, brother, all you need to do is turn this way and go that way, but sometimes they have to get a lot out before you can get to that point where they can absorb that. And it all depends on what they've been through. And some of them are extremely erratic and really, really pissed. That's a fact, and they go in and out. They don't always stay that way. Like my Revolutionary War soldier, Steve. Steve helped me sort that one. We're still sorting that one out, aren't we, honey?
Yep. Still working on it.
Because
Still digging
sometimes
with the shovel, paranormal shovel there.
Yep, we sure are peeling back the layers of that onion. But I was in a haunted farmhouse, 200-year-old farmhouse back in the day, the 60s. So much older now if it was still standing. And there was a Revolutionary War soldier ghost there that would appear in different forms depending on his general mood. Sometimes he was just this angry guy with this red glaring eyes, and sometimes he'd be just a head, sometimes part of a body walking by. Sometimes he'd just appear, all together and just like a normal face, but more like not red eyes or anything, just regular guy, regular eyes. But he was just giving off this sadness and this just despair, and that feeling would come first before the anger would come first on the other. And then sometimes you just get this this really deep depression and foreboding. It was just, he was something else, but going through all that and everything that went on around it, everything affected that. So one ghost isn't going to stay the same all the time unless it's just a residual, and you're just seeing a repeat, a play on a play on a film, basically, a movie. So what you got coming on this week besides your son coming?
Well, that's the big.
You better keep your calendar open, buddy.
Yeah, I've got videos coming out on missing persons and mysteries, and of course Tales Untold, and got another episode of the radio show in the can. Had Eric Freeman Sims on last night, so if you
wow, that had to be great.
Go listen to that one. Yeah, we actually recorded that one before he and I were on this show, so it was like kind of a leap back in the past, but that was a good show.
Yeah.
And what else? Yeah, the baby's the biggest news. He should be here within the next 7 days. So very, very excited.
You're gonna blink and it's it's gonna be something.
Yeah,
this is a whole new phase.
We found out New Year's Day that we were expecting, and it's like, wow, we have to wait 40 weeks, and now blink, and here it is. So but
gosh, it'll be 2-3 weeks, you'll be driving.
Ready, yeah.
You will be. It's going to go so fast. I'm sure you've got all the cameras ready, locked and loaded. You've got, all kinds of stuff.
Everything's sitting over here. Got bags packed and ready to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
At a moment's notice. Just know it's going to be like 3 o'clock in the morning. So we like, Steve, wake up. My water broke.
Yep.
But
take plenty of change from the vending machine. Or do they take, God only knows what they take now.
They've got like a food court in the hospital. They've got a Dunkin' Donuts, which is a godsend.
Okay, you'll be all right.
They've got a pizza place, a pizza and pasta place. They've got the regular cafeteria. They've got a place that has healthy stuff like smoothies and stuff. There's a place that has paninis.
There you go.
They do it right at this hospital. So
us too, sweetie.
But
Same
I don't think there's anything open 24 hours. Dunkin' used to be. I think everything closes at 11 or midnight. But we have DoorDash delivered to the emergency room.
There you go. There you
we
go.
already checked all
You're all
that
set.
out.
You're all set. I'm glad you're going to be okay, sweetie. I'm thinking about you and I'm here, okay? And listen, for everybody that's in here, you got to get to Steve's channels if you're not familiar with them. Steve has fantastic channels for just about everybody. Roll them off for us, Steve. And drop them. Mods, drop some of his links in here. The books are fantastic.
Missing Persons and Mysteries, that one, let's see how many have I got over there now. Almost 305,000 subscribers. Tales Untold, that's my immersive fiction channel, immersive storytelling.
I think this one's got Among the Missing. We still got that, or did we change that?
Among the Missing is now Tales Untold.
Tales Untold, okay, that's what I thought.
And then on Wednesday nights, Lee G from First Floor Audio, he's my musical director. He and I are live on the channel I have called From Beyond. It's only about 3,500 subs, but that's UFO, UAP, and related phenomena. We're right in the middle of, remember the Reader's Digest Mysteries of the Unknown or whatever?
Yes.
I found a set of those VHS tapes that are long out of print. So we're getting by with showing them. We showed the first one, UFOs and Strange Beings, last week's. Got another one coming up this week and next, depending on when the baby arrives, of course.
Yeah.
But it's scheduled for Wednesday night.
Now, when was that one that you did with the Reader's Digest thing? When did that show? I want to go back and see that.
Wednesday nights on From Beyond.
Okay.
Go back and look. Cathedral, drop a link there if she would.
Thank you, Cathedra. There, I fixed it. All right. I'll tell you what, welcome everybody. If you are here for the first time, please hit the like, or I'm rather subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. YouTube doesn't like to notify people that we're on, but we are on every night, every Sunday night and Monday night at 8 o'clock. Usually start a little early with a long intro so everybody can chill and come in and get a good seat and get their snacks all set up and say hi and get hugs and shake hands, and we'll be shaking babies soon. And shaking it, isn't that how you say it, Steve? Shaking hands and kissing hands and shaking babies.
Yeah.
I think that's it. So come in and join. Welcome. And hit the like. You know the deal. If you're here all the time, you know I love you. You're my gatekeepers. Thank you to all the mods. Thank you for keeping up with the chat and welcoming everybody in. We love that. Bacon is love. Throw that bacon out there, everybody. And let's get us out with a little video and enjoy spooky season. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern, my time, we are going to watch The Haunted, the 1991 made-for-television movie chronicling the horrible, really was, man, haunting that they lived through and lived to tell about it. And it's really something else. And it's really a classic case from beginning to end. If you're interested in paranormal investigation or just how this kind of thing works, this one really has it all. So be with me tomorrow night. We're going to watch a movie together and we'll see if we can get away with it. Right, Steve? And if not, we won't. And we'll do a mystery the next night. So we got something for everybody here. I love you, my friend. My love to Nick.
Love you too.
Tell her to hang in there. Tell her to breathe. Yeah.
We
very
got
important.
the breathing thing. We did the baby classes, so we're all
Man,
set. She is getting
man.
the epidural though. She's not going to be a hero.
I
She's not
understand.
going to try to do it naturally. I don't
Hey,
blame her.
you know what? I don't blame her either. I had one too, and it wore off, and he didn't come for another 20 hours. I'm just saying.
And Catherine, yeah, we've
Just
got a
thank
name
God she's
picked
not in an
out,
army hospital.
but we're keeping it a secret till he gets here. It's an unusual name. It's a very literary name, uncommon, not something. If you walk in a room and say his name, half the people in there won't turn around and look. So we kept it a secret. So somebody
can't
with
wait to
a
hear.
sooner
I
due
can't wait to
date
hear.
doesn't snipe it, but that's almost a moot point now because he's due within the week. So
I know it's getting. Whew, time is ticking so fast. By the time we see you again, we're gonna have to
he
get
may
to
be here. He may be here.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. I'm getting excited now too. Breathe, Nick. Breathe. We love you. We love you. Happy thoughts and energy, sweetheart. We're all here for you. All right, everybody. Keep your feet under the covers. Keep your closet door shut because there are things that go bump in the night. Good night, everybody. Be good
night,
humans.
everybody. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars.
Amen. My love to everybody, sweetheart. You know I'm here if you need me.
Thanks, let's go. Good night.